Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Dave Wilson of Results Staffing. And as always, my favorite saying is I just make sure that it is live and see how fast LinkedIn is. And we are live. That's all that matters. All right. Today I have one of my favorite guests back because everybody knows how crazy I am with social media. It's my life. How you doing, Miss Danielle Hall of
Hi.
Watchpoint?
I am good. How are you?
Good. Tampa Bay, Florida. Wow.
Yes. Yes.
First question. I'm going to toss something out there. Tom Brady.
Yes. That TB no longer stands for Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Is that a good thing? Are they happy?
I think that there are kind of mixed feelings, mixed emotions. I'm hearing different things kind of everywhere I go.
Okay. I've been busting on everybody when I get somebody from Texas or anything.
Yeah.
But Danielle, the reason I like to have you back is because in my area in Pennsylvania, we've talked before, is social media. When you hear Watchpoint, that's when I told you I was very interested about what you do, and because I've never heard of it, for background checks and for brand armor, and which we'll get into. But can you explain again what you do, and I'll take it from there.
I appreciate it. Thank you. So Watchpoint is a private investigations firm. At our core, we are a digital intelligence company. So Watchpoint started off in the SIU space, working with insurance carriers and TPAs, working with the adjusters to identify fraud. Now, we've expanded and leveraged our ability to utilize our digital intelligence, and we've created Brand Armor, which is a 360-degree pre to post background check screening service and ongoing monitoring service for corporations to help retain and understand their human capital.
So when you said about the fraud, now when it comes to like a medical, or, we've always been told, hey, you're on workers' comp, you get injured. And, I get it as a business owner, and so does different people. And there are people that commit fraud. Does that mean that they could utilize Watchpoint to investigate claims? Basically, if somebody's on social media saying, hey, look at me, I'm doing this, and there's no difference than just on a video camera or, taking pictures.
That's exactly what that means. So we utilize social media, we utilize the internet from the surface web all the way down to the deep and dark web to understand our claimants, just like we take it to understand potential applicants for companies. It's using the same tools and our same core competencies to allow businesses to make more informed business decisions.
Because that's what I tell my summer friends. It's like, all right, you hurt your back, but yet you're on social media. Hey, look, come on. I mean, seriously, do a lot of insurance companies, is it companies that reach out to Watchpoint, or is it like an insurance companies? I know they're both the same, but does a company come to you?
Yes. So insurance carriers or TPAs, we're an SIU designate for a number of carriers and TPAs, and we work hand in hand with adjusters when they have cases that need surveillance, when they need an internet deep dive, when we need to complete an AOE COE on the insurance side. We also say again.
No, I said I'm just listening. It's on the insurance side. I was listening.
Well, we have a litigation support unit as well. So we'll work with the legal community to do things like locates and process serving and asset checks and air searches. So we have a lot of different markets that we serve, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to our digital intelligence and who we can tailor those services for.
Okay. So then when we go back, I'm going to switch it here a little bit with brand armor. Because this is where I wanted to ask, can you explain in your words what brand armor is? Then I'm going to try to ask you some questions in my words.
Yeah, absolutely. So brand armor started off actually in the athletic space. So completing internet deep dives on players to understand their social media footprint. Because when your senior year varsity quarterback is about to be recruited by the college or university of their choice, they want to make sure that they have a clean internet footprint as they enter that time in their young adult life. Same goes for college individuals, right? Before they enter the workforce, let's make sure your internet footprint is cleaned up. So we started there kind of working on an individual basis, but then expanded and identified a need, identified the corporations have the same need to understand their human capital. So an arrest record, right? We can pull someone's
Right.
arrest record for pre-employment purposes, and we remain completely FCRA compliant. Now, we can also do an internet mining investigation to help understand someone's day-to-day activity. How do they resolve conflict? How do they speak to other people? How do they represent maybe their past employer online? As well as how do they, I have a client who uses the internet mining investigation function of our pre-employments to understand someone's grammar, right? Are they using the right version of their and they are, or you're and your? So understanding that gives a holistic view outside of just what someone may have been arrested for 1 year, once or twice, or maybe never. Social media gives a really nice snapshot of what someone's activity is like when they think no one's really watching.
So it really, now, and what I understand is for like colleges, athletes, you're protecting them. So if I was out there and I was putting in social media that you shouldn't, how does that work? Is it parents? Is it school? I mean, the colleges or parents, or is it both?
It can be both. So for example, Brand Armor started off working with the individual athlete. Now we can work with a team of athletes to help keep the reputation of a team understood, right? Help coaches and athletic directors understand the pulse of their team. But parents can also do it to identify things like cyberbullying, predatory threats, or maybe that post that their 14-year-old posted that seemed kind of funny, but in hindsight might cost them in the future. So we can work with teams, we can work with institutions, and the individual parent. Bully Armor is a bit of an offshoot from Brand Armor, where we're focusing on that individual, right? That grade school kid, that 14-year-old with a brand new cell phone and wants a Twitter account. Well, let's monitor that to make sure that he's keeping the material appropriate.
All right. Well, I'm going to dig deeper, because now that I know you, it's easier for me to talk about it. So right now, say my son, he really likes sports, and we know he's going to excel. He's going to go to Virginia Tech. Let's say a college really is looking at him and he gets dumb just like anybody else and posts something funny, goes to myself as a parent that you can protect, or the college will protect. What happens if you see something? Like what does that happen? Does it get removed? Do you monitor the school? Do you reach out?
Yes, so the Brand Armor and Bully Armor, we have an app in Google Play and iOS. So when we identify harmful material, the stakeholder is going to get an alert on their phone. So the stakeholder, maybe it's the CEO of a company, maybe it's mom and dad, depending on who our audience is. They view the alert, they'll see exactly where it is, the link in which it resides, and then they can go in and choose to remove it or not. So we take a consultative approach.
That's what I like right there, because like you said, you're really protecting your child. Mm-hmm. And years ago, I never would have thought that. I mean, who would ever thought? I mean, if you're out partying, hey, listen, I mean, everybody is, but I understand that part now, because it's like when I do like a search of somebody that's going to get hired, I mean, I go to their social media page. Do I make a decision based off that? I don't want to say not all of it, no, because I've been there, done things, but this is just really protecting the companies. Now, can you explain to me, how does it protect a corporation when you're hired? Like you've hired this person. Does it continue on, like say Dave Wilson's hired now, I'm the general manager. Does the company monitor me now that I'm working or not?
So we have a couple of different programs. So we can do an upfront internet mining investigation to take a look at how someone presents online, right? What they're saying, especially if you have someone who is going to be kind of at the forefront, right? Maybe a client-centered employee who's going to be interacting, who's going to be traveling, who's going to be at speaking engagements. You want to make sure that face is representative of your company. Okay. Now we can also we offer an ongoing program that we can offer. It depends on the cadence. We can do it at a month, we can do it bi-weekly, we can do it weekly, but understanding and monitoring someone's social media as the company grows. So if you have someone in a very high profile role, high profile seat, we can continue to monitor to make sure that they're still representing their best selves online, because especially using LinkedIn or Facebook, most people tag where they work, or they share a little bit about where they work, where they have coworkers. They're still representing that brand. They're still representing that company.
Okay. And then when I was reading into, we talked about how does it save an employer, and I liked how you talked about how it reduces turnover and significant cost savings. What do you, when you say that, what is it? And deep web scans and alerts, how do you believe that reduces turnovers and cost savings?
So doing a holistic pre-employment upfront is going to reduce turnover in the long run, especially when you use social media as a tool, as a searching tool, and as a vetting tool. So understanding upfront if someone is going to fit the same value prop that your company represents. It costs an employer approximately 1/3 of a new hire's yearly salary just to replace them. And most people stay in a role, most employees stay in a role for about 18 months if the recruiting decision wasn't a positive match. So using social media to understand kind of someone's footprint up front leans and provides more information, more credible information to move forward.
Okay. And then, you know, when I read this, you know, scans of the dark web, that is what, listen, I'm just being honest, because when I read it, you know, it's something new in our area. And you know me, I just, can you explain that?
Yes. So when you Google something, you're only capturing 4% of the internet. The remaining 96% lives in the world's largest filing cabinet in the deep and dark web. So that's where your cached pages reside, your Yahoo Groups chat pages, the things that look like they were taken off of Google, but they're still cached and cataloged. Now, doing a deep web scan, what we're looking for is the identification of the sale of sensitive information online. So your social security numbers, your addresses and passwords, your dates of birth. So when that sensitive information is being sold online, we can scan to see where is that gone.
And that's what I like, but because I want to bring it back to the reasoning. It's not the reason you're investigating. It's turnover, significant cost, representing your brand all the way through. So it's not just like, hey, I'm hiring to investigate, you know, it's just in all to protect. And it is new for around here. You know, I believe there's not much competition out there, right? You're pretty much set on your own, Watchpoint.
We really are. We don't lean on artificial intelligence. Now, obviously, we love technology and technology helps us, but we are not an algorithm solution. So when our investigators are mining the internet, you're getting a person who qualifies the data, right? Both subjective and objective context. So we're able to differentiate slang, sarcasm, memes, emojis, videos, anything that is put out, responses to posts that are put out there. So we go beyond just the text and a keyword search for a few key, like those keywords that are going to set off a red flag, especially when someone's speaking sarcastically. But we're also going to catch emojis and responses to the.
Sorry, capture emojis.
Yeah. There's a lot. Well, using symbols too, using symbols in place of letters, right? An A or an @ sign instead of an A. We're going to catch that because we're not relying solely on a computer. We're humans. We understand kind of the ever-changing times and the ever-changing slang. So we're going to catch that.
All right. 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
I was reading about Watchpoint brand on who we are, which is you. You know, I like the website. I go on there, you know, I was reading. So when I looked at your staff, so I didn't tell you this stuff like this. Your staff is made up of such a different type, not different type, but you really have such a, how do you want to say? I mean,
a diverse team.
Athletes, Olympians, professional athletes, coaches. So these are, your staff is not just somebody who comes off the street. You know, you know what they're looking for.
Absolutely. For myself, I can speak for myself. I came from, I have a background in child abuse investigations. So when I came over to Watchpoint, it was an understanding of when I have a partner who needs a locate completed, they need a background check completed. There are time sensitive requests that we're responsible for. So having a partner that you can lean on and having a partner that understands what a massive caseload is like, understanding that sets everyone up for success.
That's what I mean, because you're the expert. You got to be. Listen, I wouldn't know anything about it because I'm crazy on social media, and if you followed my words, I don't think I'd be in trouble. But and then the last question for you to me is in staffing, and I've told you before. Listen, hey, I do our background checks, runs drug screenings, basic. I was looking at some of the cost, and it is something new. Have you seen? Like, I know you're in Tampa Bay. Now you're all over the United States, right?
Yes, nationwide.
So, all over. So everywhere there, they can utilize that. How does using services, let me see how I'm going to word this. For me, how do I try to sell? This is a different type of question, but when I talk to a client, say, listen, I offer social media, background checks also. First thing they're going to be like, is like, what? Social media background checks. It's so plain. Like, first thing, as I told you before, is like, what are they going to say? What does that mean? Mm-hmm. So the information I really need to have, first of all, just like when we talk, is I have to be spot on, because I don't want to say the wrong thing, mm-hmm. right? I mean, I don't want to scare somebody, for me, because but so how do you sell this to, if you've utilized like a staffing company that you've used, if that makes sense?
It does. So when we go to market with our pre-employments, we stay competitive with other screening companies in the marketplace. The difference is we are tacking on social media deep dives as an added bonus. There's an extra value add. And when you bundle, and we love to bundle and save. So we can do the upfront criminal civil court record searches, right. We can do sex offender registry, we can do drug screening, we can do all of those, still competitive with the market. The difference is we can add on and tack on that internet deep dive to give you just a little more. We give you more of that flavor. And more of that. And then also that's all covered. Like if a client says to me, they do a 5-year background check, they do a 10-year. The majority around here is 10 years. Mm-hmm. Nobody really goes anything further than 10 years, but everything would still be the same. Mm-hmm. You're just adding on that little extra piece. Social media. Yep. All right. Last question in 30 seconds. I'm going to close this up. Is why do you, again, if you were to say, recommend Watchpoint and Brand Armor for yourself and for companies? So Brand Armor offers a holistic view and is a holistic approach to the pre-employment process. Not even just pre-employment, but ongoing, understanding the pulse of your company on an ongoing basis, all the way up to post-employment, right? Is there a non-compete? Is there a non-disparagement agreement? Monitoring that and ensuring that you have eyes on that matter is important, because it saves you dollars in the long run, and it protects yourself, it protects your reputation, right. And your company. On your company. All right. That was a lot more in depth this time. And then there's going to be more next time too, because it's new. If I'm trying to sell it, I better learn how to utilize it and present it right, because everybody I say, I'm like, what? Social media background checks, but I understand it now, especially comes across to me as my child. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's where you're talking, wow, can you really seriously help your child? Like, no, you're going to be a football star, you're going to be that, and basketball or anything, and that can ruin your chances, because schools are looking for that. I think we talked about it before, and I'll let you go, is like you said, there's a lot of athletes that are just as good, but who do you want to represent you on top of it? See? Yep. That's exactly right. And there's going back to parents wanting to protect their child, wanting to kind of safeguard their future. 60% of teens have social media accounts their parents don't know about. So we're not looking at the social media accounts you know about, because you might follow your child on social media. We're looking at the accounts that are out there that mom and dad might not know of. I'm glad you mentioned that. And I've only got one more then. I'm glad you mentioned that, because how do you know, like, is it like, I know how social media is. Anybody can make up different pages. It's changing. They're getting stricter and stricter. But that's what my concern is, like with my son, is like, and
and my daughter is like, what pages don't I know about?
Exactly. And so it's funny because you were talking about, you had mentioned that we staff a lot of different specialists in different categories to be very holistic. Well, millennial is one of those categories, right? So understanding the ever-changing and very new apps, especially because some of our investigative team, they're parents themselves to teenagers. So knowing and staying up to date on the trends is very important. But also understanding common usernames, right? Email addresses, the prefixes to email addresses are very commonly used as usernames. Looking at photo recognition, and linguistics, the way that someone writes, and being able to kind of track those patterns is really important.
Whew. All right, last question. I wanted you to bring up what you're offering right now for the Celebrate of Independence.
Yes, so for July 4th, we are offering surveillance at a discounted rate. So July 3rd, 4th, and 5th, if you book unscheduled surveillance on those 3 days, it's $50 off each day of surveillance, reaping a savings of $150. So for our SIU partners, for the adjusters that we work with on the carrier and TPA side, this is a really great opportunity. And every case of surveillance, we start with digital intelligence. So we're going to do our mining up front before we send anyone out into the field, because we want to be spot on when we go out into the field.
Spot on. All right, and last request is, are you going to do that dance that we saw you on TikTok? Hey, listen, funny. Real quick before I let you go to Danielle Hall on LinkedIn. I'm sorry, I gotta say it and check out her TikTok dance, whatever. But it was pretty good. It's 30 seconds, not even. But I wish I had it. I got to figure out, once I learn all this, I'm gonna be like, there she is. Look at her, But it gets your attention.
It's hard. It's hard. I had it downloaded on my phone for a very long time before I got brave enough to give it a try. But it's a really great marketing tool. It
worked, and I told you I did get all my green screen. I'm starting, but the next time I just have to learn how you stand up. I got to get that full coverage because I still have to sit in a chair yet. I'm 6'3".
Oh, okay.
I can't get myself covered. So, but seriously, Danielle, I want to thank you so much again. I'm going to have you on again because I really believe this is going to be ongoing for in my area and my audience to understand it, and go from there. So enjoy Tampa Bay and Tom Brady and,
Thank you.
And we will talk soon. We will talk soon. See, when you're live, you say these words. But on that note, let's see. We ended here. Let's see. We're going to end.